I'm back at the Sanford Dam. You can see it over my shoulder here. Before we get this video started, I wanted to thank my Patreons Scott and Lynn, and for people sending me letters through the mail. So a huge thanks to Randy and Kim. Let's get this camera turned around now and I'll show you a little bit closer what's going on here at Sanford. I'll also get the mic flipped around so you can hear me a little bit better. They are just about ready to start pouring some more lifts on Bay 5 and Bay 6. So in just a couple minutes, the concrete pumper will be showing up, as well as the cement trucks, and then they will be starting to pour those. We will be over there on the site when that work begins, but let's first take a look at, what's new over here. So we'll take a look at this tree. You actually were tuning in last week. You were able to see my little interview on TV5 News. So I actually stood probably right about in this area. I also uploaded that interview to my channel. If you want to make sure, you can go back and check that out. This tree here got washed away from the water that's being directed underneath the temporary bridge right now. It's kind of just coming right over here at the bank, so a little bit of erosion happening, and then kind of just lost stability with not having soil underneath these roots and fell into the river. Looks like it's starting to grow though. Again, I'm not sure if this is just from the springtime, if it got its foliage when may die now, but checking out the top, looks like some beavers have been doing some work on it. Must be a beaver dam downriver from here. Also, might be able to see this. There's a helicopter over here in the park area. He's spraying for the gypsy moths right now. So I went and checked in with them, made sure that I wasn't going to be interfering with them when I'm flying my drone, and he said, oh no, you'll be able to see the path that they're flying very easily and be able to avoid them. So that's kind of interesting. He's going to be flying real low above these trees to spray them. And over here, the old substation, looks like there's a little bit of work going on there as well. Possibly just removing a lot of the old transformers and the equipment, just decommissioning that area, since hydropower is not in this dam's future. I know that disappoints a lot of people, but it's just not feasible. I mean, this dam is equivalent to 2 wind turbines. 2 wind turbines are a lot cheaper than reinstating, bringing this dam up to be running hydropower again. Would also extend the timeline very significantly, delay the lakes being refilled anytime soon. Make sure you stay tuned till the end of this video though. I will be covering the engineering diagrams and details, going over a few of the proposed plans that are a little bit different here on Sanford Dam that was originally in the 30% design, mainly with the emergency spillway in this location. But yeah, let's head on over there to the site now. Like I said, we should be seeing the concrete pumper and the concrete truck showing up very shortly, and then we'll be able to see them pour those new lifts. One more thing before we head over to the dam site. A couple of you may have seen on a video that I posted a couple weeks ago that the live camera filming over here in the park area caught a lightning strike over here. Maybe I'll pop that video up again. We'll see what damage was done to the tree here and see how it's faring. So this is the tree right here. You can see some of the bark stripped off it. Concrete pumper, like I said, going over the temporary bridge right now. So yeah, it looks like some bark missing up there near the top of the tree that was blown off. Looks like that bark ended up over here A couple of it is actually still stuck up there in that tree. Looks like the tree is still growing pretty well though. Let's take a look at the base of the tree. So right where this fabric geotextile was, you can see how that's melted around the base of the tree. Not a whole lot wrong with this tree though. I mean, maybe a little bit of bark that was stripped off in that area. But the most significant thing that I'm seeing is the geotextile fabric just being melted and melted. The common person walking along here, they probably wouldn't see anything wrong with this tree. And yeah, the bark that's missing up there. Looks like this does have a tag on it. I'm guessing that's a tag for being treated for the ash borer. This is an ash tree. So I'm sure some people will tell me if that is incorrect. Jumping into a little bit of this drone video, I'm flying downriver, facing towards the south. I'm gonna go over here and take a little bit closer look with the drone with this tree that got struck by lightning. So you could see the tree down here in the river that fell over due to erosion. This is the one that the beavers are eating away a few of the branches on the top of it. You may have noticed a little bit earlier in the year, we actually saw this beaver on the live camera that was on Sanford Dam. He was sitting on the sill for a little while. So he comes around from time to time. He must have a beaver dam somewhere downstream here. Since Sanford Dam no longer exists, he's probably working on creating his own little dam. But here is the tree that we're looking at right in the center of the screen that the lightning strike hit. And you can see about halfway up is where some of that bark has been stripped off. So we'll get right up in here nice and close with the drone. Again, this is an ash tree. It survived the ash borer, so hopefully it survives being struck by lightning as well. So far it seems to be doing pretty good. Looks like a couple dead branches with some dead leaves on it. And even way up here at the top of the tree, not seeing a whole lot wrong as well. In the background, you can see the tanker for the gypsy moth insecticide. Over here on the site now, dam's right here, and the first load of concrete just showing up. They just finished doing the test on it. First time I've seen that, so that was kind of interesting to see. And now pulling up to the concrete pumper. Just about ready to start pouring the next lift on bay number 5. All right, let's head on down there now, take a little bit closer look at this. Right now you can see the concrete pumper pumping that concrete into bay 5, doing the next lift. You can see they started pouring through the top of the spillway because they weren't able to get the boom of the pumper up underneath there enough. The elevation will be at 613, the top of this Weir spillway after they're complete. So right now the water level over on the other side of the dam is actually a little bit low right now. We haven't got a whole lot of rain lately. So this might actually be a little bit lower or higher depending on the water level on the other side of the dam. After they go ahead and pour the rest of these Weir spillways, then they can go ahead, use the breaker, remove the top rollways, and allow that water to start flowing back over the top of Sanford Dam once again. There's a ton of progress since I've been here just a couple weeks ago. You can see they have all the bases of the Weir spillways poured now in quite a few lifts. Let's go ahead now, head on down, check out a few of these. Before we go check that out, first I'm going to jump into some more of the drone video. We're facing towards the east, flying towards Sanford Dam, temporary bridge on the bottom right hand side of the screen, and Sanford Falls over there on the left hand side. Looks like that the water is pretty rapid right now. That's just because the water level is so low. It's been a little while since we got a good amount of rain. You can see the concrete truck pumping into the concrete pumper truck though, and that cement, the concrete, is being dispensed through the top of spillway number 5 to pour the next lift on the concrete Weir spillway. So after these are all complete, they can then go ahead, use the breaker, break away the top rollways, the spillways here on Sanford Dam, and redirect the water over the top of this dam once again. I'll go over these details a little bit more when I'm back to filming there in person. But so far, still just dropping with the drone a little bit more, probably only about 30-40 feet in altitude, now facing towards the north, downriver of Sanford Dam. You can see the lake bed in the background, all nice lush green. Now we can see the area between Sanford Dam and the sill back here at the bottom of the screen. See all of those weep holes that are exiting the lifts that were being poured on the bottom of the spillways. Those weep holes will be directed through the sill. The next time I'm out there on site, you'll be able to see that there. That's actually what they're working on doing right now. You can see trying to pump out the water on the other side of the sill. Once they do that, they can go ahead, core through the sill, and then bring those weep holes so that all that water drains from underneath the new concrete weir spillways to the other side of the sill so that we don't have uplift on this dam. Now I'm swinging over directly behind the powerhouse. You can see where the water used to go through the turbines and exit at the bottom of those right there, those circular things at the bottom of the powerhouse. I have partnered with a website called Coffee. You can check this out in the link in the description down below. Great website though. It offers a fee-free way to support content creators. So if you want to send me some gas money or buy me a drink, feel free to check out that link in the description down below. Here's the last drone shot directly in front of Sanford Dam before I jump back to being in person. On the inside of the dam now, hopefully you can hear me, it's a little loud in here. You can actually see the outline of where the next steps of the Weir spillway will be going. So 2 more lifts after they finish this one. You can actually see those pass-throughs down in there. So this is bay 5. See a lot of that rebar down inside there being poured on top of the lift that was just underneath. And up at the top of the dam, flowaway spillway, where that concrete's coming through right now, being pumped in. See over here on the wall, 611.6 looks like that lift, and then the last lift is going to be at 613 elevation. This is where the catwalk used to span through, right there as well. Pretty cool being in here, seeing this work that's going on. I'm now over inside of bay 6, so this will be the next one to be poured. So they're right over here on the other side in bay 5, where I was just at. They're pouring that one right now. Then they will be bringing the concrete pumper over through the holes and starting to pump this one full of concrete as well. You can see there's a little bit more room in this one because it doesn't have those pass-through gates. And the way those pass-through gates used to work was just kind of like a giant butterfly valve that would open and allow water to come through. Again, you can kind of see the elevation where the steps on the next lifts of the concrete weir spillway will be going. You can see all the work that is in place to go ahead and tie in all this rebar to reinforce these. Pretty amazing. Tell there's a lot of work that's been done. Like I said before, make sure you go down below, leave a like for the hard work that the workers are doing here on site. Also leave any questions and comments you have down below. There's a couple people that actually read through the comments, some of the workers, so they answer every now and then, and it's always great to see support. So make sure going down there, leaving them some comments saying that they're doing some great work here too, and you really appreciate it. Looks like they actually have a temperature probe right there hanging off that rebar as well. Thermocouples down there attached to that rebar. I'm gonna turn around now, see the other side. So this is where they use the breaker, open up these spillways a little bit further in the interior of the spillway. Jumping back into the drone video now where we left off, in front of the spillways here on Sanford Dam. You can see that concrete pumper back there on the left hand side pumping in the concrete into the new concrete weir spillway in spillway number 5. Was just bringing the drone around to check out this area on the side of the powerhouse. You can see that there will need to be a patch put in place here. Some of that concrete has had some spalling occur, and then we have some exposed rebar here on spillway number 1. Drone is about 75 feet in altitude. We're over here directly behind the temporary bridge now, and you can just see how much water is flowing underneath the bridge, and check out the lake bed on Sanford Lake in the background. Hard to believe that there was water, about 20 feet of water there just a couple years ago. And right now where Sanford Falls is where the earthen embankment used to be. I'll keep dropping in altitude a little bit. You can see a little bit of that riprap is in the center of the channel, but the entirety of the riverbed here is lined with riprap to keep that from eroding further. So great shot here, Sanford Falls. I always love coming down here and documenting how these have changed. We're not seeing as much change as up there at Edenville Falls. Not as much back cutting. You can tell the swallows are definitely not liking the drone. That bank over on the left-hand side, that sand bank, is where these bank swallows reside. So right now I'm sure they're nesting and trying to protect their nest as well as their babies that they potentially have in those nests. So that's why they're being awfully aggressive right now. We'll keep flying upriver a little bit further and see how things have changed. There are many cottonwood and willow trees growing on each side of the riverbed. This is preventing quite a bit of erosion from happening. This is actually predominantly what the lake bed consists of. Not many weeds, just a lot of cottonwood and willow trees. And I think this was probably due to the time of the year that the Edenville Dam breached, as well as the Sanford Dam breached. There's probably a lot of seeds floating around from cottonwood and willow trees, and that's what ended up populating the lake bed. Here's Spillway 5, where the concrete pumper is still at, and I'm dropping in altitude, checking out the old pass-through gates. These always interest me, so I'm always documenting how they look right now. Over here in Bay 3 now, you can see that this lift was already poured. See the rebar that's in place for the next two lifts to be poured. And then this piece of metal right here is actually to prevent the lampreys from coming up and over the top of the dam. So pretty interesting. You can see where the catwalk used to go through here, sealed up with that steel plate. Up here on the front side of the dam, on the other side of the sill, see the dam spillways in the background here. What they're trying to work on right now is getting this sealed up to create a little bit of a work area that they can bore through the sill of the concrete to bring those weep holes through. So you can see that Schedule 80 of a gray PVC pipe down there. That pipe needs to be brought through the sill to drain the water from underneath the dam out. So that's kind of what they're working on right here. You can actually see this area from the live camera. The live camera is right up there on that pole, so make sure you're checking that out and seeing the 24/7 live feed. But great work going on here at the Sanford Dam, as always. We're going to leave this area by the pass-through behind Spillway number 5. We are going to climb all the way up to 400 feet in altitude with the drone and just see what the landscape, what the job site looks from that high up. It's always great to get the perception from up that high. You can see over on the left-hand side, Consumers Energy over there dismantling some of that substation since that will no longer be used. And way off there in the background, you might be able to see that helicopter with the prop spinning and the tanker with the pesticides or insecticides for the gypsy moths. So back a little bit closer, a little bit lower in altitude, directly behind the dam once again. I'm going to go ahead, we're going to fly all the way down the earthen embankment, check that out, and then we'll take a closer up view of the lake bed and then the staging area. Let me know if you guys want to see the testing that is involved with the testing of the concrete before they go ahead and use it here on the job site. I know that might be a little mundane, meticulous, boring for some people to understand, but I actually thought it was kind of interesting to see how they test that concrete since it is being used for infrastructure purposes. Again, this bank over here is usually where the bank swallows reside and nest, so you don't want to spend too much time there, just kind of flying over to get to the lake bed area. And once again, all of these cottonwood and willow trees growing out here. I will stop and we'll be able to observe these a little bit closer, and always some stumps out here. They are actually cleaning up some of the logs and stumps that are on the lake bed to the north of here at the time of me filming this voiceover. So that's very interesting to see. Again, the root balls, if they're actually lodged inside of the sand in the lake bed, cannot be removed. That's fish habitat. But if there's any freestanding logs, timber, those logs can be cut off above where the lake bed used to be and removed from the lake bed. So this area over here on the right hand side is the Sanford Lake Park. That is still open, still a great area to go for a picnic or just enjoy in the summertime. In this area right in the middle of the screen is the old Sanford boat launch. So again, hard to believe that there was probably about 5 feet of water right here. There used to be docks over on the left hand side. And I was out here on this lake about 2 weeks before Sanford Dam. I actually failed to have some pictures out there enjoying ourselves. So pretty sad to see that, but it is very interesting to picture myself being where there is no longer any water. Here's the staging site over here. You can see a lot of rebar on the left-hand side, a lot of stone and riprap in the center of the screen, as well as some other equipment. For some reason, I lost the audio in this portion of the clip, but I was just showing off the Sanford Veterans and First Responders Memorial, and we can see Porty Park over here. The Dow tent is still up because they had many events out here for the dam failing anniversary. So right here in this area that I'm walking, this used to be where the old Fiero Museum used to stand, as well as Poochie's Pit Stop. Poochie's has moved up to Edenville now, and the Fiero Museum was shut down. Got the hardware over here on the left-hand side. They are open and have a bigger selection than ever. Harry's sewer and drain cleaning over here on the right-hand side. Can't miss that blue building. And then there's actually quite a few new lights, these street lights that are going in the village of Sanford. So that's going to make the village look a lot nicer. The Welcome to Sanford sign says it's 60 degrees out right now, and Porty Park's over here to the right-hand side. And this is the area where the old pizza place used to be. If we take a look in here, we can see they're still hanging some drywall, doing some mudding. I'm not sure what will be coming in this building in the future. I know there's a couple of people that get this pizza place confused with Jack's Hometown Pizza. Jack's Hometown Pizza is open though. And then we have the studio over here on the other side of Saginaw Road. They are also open, a little yoga studio, dance studio, and the Red Oak Restaurant is also open for business. They have some great food in there. And then over on the right-hand side is Cole's Towing. Cole's has been a great service and really helped the village of Sanford out a lot. A little bit further down on Saginaw Road, we got CJ's Hairstyling. Over here on the left, the Ellis Party Store. They are open for business as well, so if you ever need any gas or any convenience items, make sure to stop by here supporting them. Auto Parts Store over here on the right-hand side. The new Huntington Bank is now open over there, and then just on the other side of them, Three Diamonds Bridal, and then Jack's Hometown Pizza is also directly across from that Huntington Bank and Three Diamonds Bridal. So great pizza. And then of course up a little bit further is the Dollar General. So every little village apparently needs a Dollar General, so that is where that is located. I'm on my way heading back to my truck, and I'm not sure if I ever showed you guys this mural that was painted on the side of the old pizza place building. So it's just really awesome. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in seeing it. So quick shot for you. Still spraying gypsy moths. Got to see the area they're staged down here in the park where that truck is parked with pesticides. But yeah, here comes the helicopter directly overhead. Pretty interesting. So it looks like he's spraying Porty Park right now for the gypsy moths. Here's the last couple shots with the drone. You can see that helicopter that was coming my way. So I heard him coming, and I started dropping in altitude pretty fast just so I stayed out of his way. I saw his flight path, and this is usually the area where he started to climb in altitude. So I was definitely staying out of that area. Fisherman down here on the bottom left-hand side. Not sure if he's fly fishing or just doing some regular fishing. And now we're able to see the drone facing to the north up at 400 feet in altitude. Can see how green the lake bed is out here again. A US 10 main highway in the background there on the left hand side of the screen, and we'll start dropping in altitude. Coming down, watching the concrete truck fill up the concrete pumper a little bit closer. I find this concrete pumper interesting how they work. This is actually the same guy that went ahead and poured the foundation and the footings of our house. If you want to check that out, make sure you look at the link in the description down below. Right now we are working on building our home, so a lot of dirt moving happening on there. I know there's a lot of people that like watching this channel for the dirt moving specifically, so you may be interested in watching my other channel as well. I was talking to the guys out there on the construction site fairly recently at the time of me filming this voiceover, though. It sounds like in the next couple weeks they will be going ahead cutting the sill to the elevation that it will be at, and then maybe potentially mid-July they will be using the breaker to open up these spillways and redirect the river over the top of Sanford Dam. So make sure you're especially watching the live camera mid-July for a lot of that work to start, and any day now for them to start cutting these sills. So again, you can see the concrete flowing out of the concrete truck into the concrete pumper truck. And yeah, looks like it's flowing pretty well. They did the testing on this load, and again, I was able to watch how that was performed. Consists of 3 different tests, and now we can see the area in front of the dam and that concrete pumper with the boom through into spillway number 5. Again, on the right hand side, you can see some of that dismantling of the substation occurring. This next shot, we're probably about 300 feet in altitude again. I was starting to drop down from 400 feet, but I usually cut the video in areas where I take photographs. I upload these photographs onto my Patreon account for members. If you want to go ahead, check out my Patreon account. Link is also in the description down below, and my Patreons get first access, seeing what I'm working on and getting exclusive updates. So that's where you can find out some of that information.
At this point in time, Andy Baxter with GEI, would you like to walk through the Sanford Dam alternatives that we talked about?
Thanks, Kelsey. All right, so just right in parallel with Mike, we went through a Sanford Dam alternatives effort this past month. Effort will culminate in our meeting just said 2 weeks ago. We went through alternatives and selected one to move forward to progress the 60% design. At Sanford, we looked at it more of a wholesale alternatives. We had, and focusing in on the gated structure as well as the main embankment, the right embankment. The base design, which is what was presented in the 30%, didn't meet the updated flow requirements, and so we updated that 30% design. So that's your 8 gates, so modifications to the powerhouse, and the embankment, the right embankment, is an earthen embankment with a 350-foot labyrinth auxiliary spillway, similar to what's at Edenville, what's proposed at Edenville. And that labyrinth did get expanded from 250 to 350 feet, and that generated this kind of starting point for the alternatives. The big change that went from the base to the alternatives is the IDF flood elevation went from, as you can see, 634.5 to 638. What that enabled us to do was to reduce the primary spillway capacity, meaning at the same capacity, but at the higher head elevation, we were able to reduce the number of gates from 8 to 6. And then we looked at the embankment, and each of the alternatives is a different embankment and auxiliary spillway. So for the first one, we're still with the labyrinth spillway. So you can see the spillway width actually reduces from 350 to 250. and you still, similar earthen embankment. Alternative 2 is a basically complete removal of the earthen embankment and replacement with a full RCC structure that extended from glacial till up to the crest elevation. And through the center of that is a long straight weir with a low section in the RCC, which overtops during the flood events. And then the third alternative is taking that same approach with a long weir, and instead of doing the full RCC section, you have the earthen embankment with the RCC overtopping. We went through this, and I'll talk a little bit later about the selection, but landed for several reasons on the earthen embankment. We got a couple of slides now talking about that with the RCC overtopping. So starting from the left embankment, which is at the bottom right of the screen, you've got the powerhouse with the three bays. That is wholly unchanged. There'll be some modifications for stability to it, but generally unchanged. And then you have your spillway structure, which currently has 6 gates or six bays, and we're keeping those 6 bays and replacing them with the new gates, just as you saw at Edenville. Working your way around, you have your low-level outlet structure, and then an embankment section, non-overtopping embankment section, and then the long weir. So this whole section from the low-level outlet extending through the turn and the overflow section and off to the right abutment is all RCC overtop protected. So we've got a level there. So training wall overtopping, and then right embankment. So you can see the alignment is very similar to what the current alignment of the embankment is. And in general, it's going to be a higher embankment to accommodate the higher IDF, and still pass our IDF. Okay, next. Here's a cross section through the RCC. And what you're looking at is you have the earthen embankment in yellow. You've got your sheet pile cutoff wall, which is going in as part of the stabilization efforts, and filter, earthen embankment, and RCC overtopping laid down in lifts and placed across. In the background, you see as the hard line is the training wall, and then the non-overtopping embankment is the dash line. So in general, very similar to what was pre-flood, except it's going to be a taller structure, and now we've armored both the non-overtopping and the overtopping section, meaning the auxiliary spillway, with the RCC embankment, RCC protection. Selection criteria, similar to Edenville. The main difference here is that is the bottom bullet, which looks at is dam safety and resilience to greater flood conditions. This is the last dam in the line. And so what we looked at here said, we have IDF conditions, and that's our design criteria. However, we've got several structures upstream, and we want to look at this as potentially being more resilient to a higher flood condition. We don't have M30 issues, and so we didn't need to look at those. Thanks. So conclusion, we went through that process. I didn't have the numbering here, but that alternative 3 landed up top, and the reasons were related to the cost effective and low construction risk. So that specifically relates to the powerhouse itself. By not having to do modifications to the powerhouse, reduce risk there. And then the other big part of that is that we don't have to excavate to glacial till along the entire embankment length. And so the dewatering requirements, the foundation exposure, all of that kind of we mitigate those risks with this alternative, and yet we still provide not just the needed level of protection, but some additional protection in the event of a higher flood condition. As Mike said, we presented this on Friday, last Friday. to Eagle and AECOM, and we're in a similar boat where we're just about completed with a report which presents these figures as well as a discussion of our analysis.
Thanks for watching, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next videos I will be posting, and leave your questions, comments, and suggestions below. As always, I just want to give a massive thanks to the people who support me on Patreon. Never underestimate the value of your contribution to keeping this channel going. Thank you.